The Pathless is developed a giant Squid second game after the artsy and captivating of Zoo. While the latter was more of an experience, the Pathless is an open-world action-adventure game that strives to be an unlikely cross between Pathless Journey and Breath of the Wild. You assume the role of a hunter whose world is on the verge of collapse, as the ancient spirits who once defended it are now under the curse of a powerful being known as the God's Lair. It's up to you to restore order and peace in the realm and ultimately defeat the God's Lair. The island is large and there are several regions to explore, but the game doesn't hold your hand and tell you what to do next. There's no world map either, and your only guide of sorts is spirit vision, which highlights points of interest in the distance. The highlighted areas often contain environmental puzzles that can be completed to obtain a special golden orb. Once enough of these have been obtained, you'll be able to activate 3 dormant towers that allow you to confront the area's cursed spirit. The hunter can effortlessly dash across the landscape, but doing so quickly depletes her stamina gauge. To replenish it, you must use her bow and arrow to shoot talismans scattered everywhere throughout the world. Luckily, she's a master archer, and keeping the right trigger pulled for a short while automatically locks onto her nearest talisman. It's an incredibly satisfying mechanic that quickly becomes second nature, as you learn to maintain a continuous rhythm and flow to build momentum and speed. The DualSense controller's adaptive triggers create an impulse just as you get a lock on a talisman, serving as your cue to shoot your arrow. This further aids you in developing a rhythm without necessarily having to look for visual cues. This mechanic is further expanded later on, with certain special talismans giving a more pronounced boost or having you take off. This proves useful since you'll often be required to take to the skies with the help of an eagle. Your trusted companion will help you glide and gain altitude by flapping its wings a limited number of times per time you take off. As a result of the added verticality, exploring the open world feels more enjoyable and less restricted. The eagle will also play its part in solving puzzles that require key objects to be fetched or moved around. Occasionally, your companion will get cursed and you'll need to call upon it to clean it up. It's a neat mechanic that further develops sentimental attachment for the eagle. Puzzles are reminiscent of the shrines from Breath of the Wild. While most of them are fairly simple, they're well designed, making each golden orb you acquire feel earned. Fundamentally, it boils down to things like shooting arrows at objects to open doors, ricocheting them off mirrors to reach the target, and melting frozen objects by shooting an arrow through a torch. You'll also be required to use your spirit vision to pass through areas that are seemingly blocked by walls. The eagle will also help with realigning mirrors on rails to set up a precise ricochet spot for your arrow. While it isn't mandatory to complete all available puzzles to activate the 3 towers and progress to the next section, there is an incentive to do so. The game's true and conclusive ending can only be unlocked via 100% completion. This may sound overkill, but given the short nature of the game, it's worth pursuing. It helps that the exploration and puzzle solving here are generally enjoyable. During your quest to activate the 3 towers of a region, you'll occasionally run into its corrupted guardian spirit. It's here that you get pulled into hostile territory and lose sight of your evil companion. In order to get through this predicament, you need to stealthily make your way to the distressed eagle while avoiding being present within the corrupted beast's line of sight. Should you get caught, you'll lose some of the shards you collected. These stealth sections are the only real intrusive part of the game, as they quickly become a chore after a couple of encounters. Boss fights are a nice change of pace from the puzzle solving. They play out in multiple stages, the first of which involves you chasing down the beast and shooting at its weak spots as it tries to outrun you while sending fireballs your way to slow you down. The second part of the fight takes you to a more traditional green light section, where you face off against the beast. boss fights, you're expected to observe their attacks and exploit your distances. However, these encounters are deliberately kept so as not to become. There's no game over screen either, so, at work, you get thrown out of it, making your way back and resumes the fight from where it left off. Minimalist and eye-catching is the best way to describe the Pathless aesthetic. There isn't much in the way of environmental variety, but that doesn't take anything away from the experience. The art direction is on point, and the world beckons to be explored. Much like in Journey, Austin Wintour's compositions for the Pathless do a fantastic job of creating melancholic vibes, perfectly complementing the atmospheric allure of the visuals. All in all, the Pathless is a well-designed and engaging experience to the very end. It's mechanically fluid and brimming with atmosphere, thanks to some great art direction as well as Austin Wintour's fantastic compositions. Despite some repetitive stealth sections that hurt the pacing, the open world is often a joy to explore.
Please like and subscribe to Twisted Voxel on YouTube.